I know some people out there are not happy with the way this show went down, and they blame that on me. But the simple fact of the matter is, if you're not happy with this show, maybe you're not happy with reality-based TV in general. If you're not happy with reality-based TV, maybe you're not happy with, as the name suggests, reality.
Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm BB Funerology here, and I like to talk all things Big Brother. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the top 10 moments of Big Brother 2. Now remember, these lists are objective, there is no right list, it's just my list. And before we dive in, I want to give a major spoiler warning for Big Brother 2, and probably some minor spoilers for other seasons as well. Alright, let's dive in. Number 10. So the first week of Big Brother 2, Mike Boogie won HOH. Mike Boogie and Dr. Will were very close, they formed Chilltown, and they were basically running the house. Or at least they thought they were until they got blindsided at the eviction. But since they thought they were running the house, Will decided he wanted everyone to do a voluntary 24-hour fast. He believed that they were breaking the 7 deadly sins, specifically greed, gluttony, and sloth.
Okay. I told everyone that I created the fast for spiritual cleansing, which was total BS. It puts me in a position of power.
Some people were unsurprisingly very angry, but a bunch of them still did it anyway. Nobody really lasted the full 24 hours. Some people caved early, others went a little longer. But it was honestly satisfying to see Will flex these puppeteer muscles so early on.
Initiating the fast allowed me to be a puppeteer. I kind of look over the stage and I play the marionettes, and they follow whatever I say.
Number 9. This one is probably the most jarring because right as the theme song ended, Julie comes on our screen and the first thing she says is that Justin has been expelled. So Justin had made a lot of verbal threats to the house guests. They show a lot of people in the diary room showing genuine concern about Justin and the safety of others. He got in one altercation with Kent because Kent was mad Justin took one of his pillows, and they ended up getting in each other's faces. Fast forward to another scene, Justin was being flirty with Krista. They used to give the house guests a lot more alcohol, and Krista seemed pretty intoxicated to say the least. He got close to her face like he was gonna kiss her, then he grabbed and held a knife to her neck and asked if she'd be mad if he killed her. He asked if she'd be mad if he killed her, and he did this a number of times. Now, as insane as all this was, one interesting thing I did take out of this is that the voice that said, "Justin, please go to the diary room," is actually the same one we hear today in modern Big Brother.
Justin, please go to the diary room.
Oh boy. Oh boy. We got problems. We got problems.
But honestly, the part that really takes the cake is his interview with Julie at the end, where you can just tell he just doesn't get it at all.
I go, "Would you get mad if I killed you?" Smiling at her. She's smiling, and she goes, "Go for it." Now, if there's anyone that could perceive that as an act of violence or as a threat, you're an idiot.
Can you see how someone from the outside would be worried?
I cannot.
I
cannot even fathom.
Yikes. Number 8. So by the end of the first eviction cycle, they start to give Dr. Will and Shannon sort of a budding showman segment. Usually I don't care for this type of thing, but this one had an interesting twist that most others don't have. Shannon actually had a boyfriend at home before she left, and to be clear, everybody knew about this because she told the house. The best part of this is Will's reaction when production asks him what he has to say to Shannon's boyfriend.
I do have a message for her boyfriend at home. He's out of here. It's over for him. That's completely done with. I think that I have reached it here with her.
And in these early seasons, they would actually interview the family and friends of each of the nominees on the block. And here's what her boyfriend had to say.
I love her very much, and I'm supporting her.
Number 7. So Hardy won HOH in week 3, and his target is Chilltown, which is Will, Mike, and Shannon. So to split up the obvious showmans, he decides to nominate Will and Shannon. Now this is basically the first season, so there's not a lot of precedent for nominations, but Shannon believes this is unfair. She's calling him a coward and other names. So they're annoyed at each other, and at one point Shannon is wearing a towel in a weird way and walks by Hardy, and he starts to laugh, and that really pisses her off. So Shannon goes ahead and does the sensible thing, and decides to clean the toilet with Hardy's toothbrush. Production calls her into the diary room, and they tell her she has to change out the top to the toothbrush. She tells Hardy she broke it and apologizes to him, but he immediately knows she's lying. They seem to get past it by finale night, or at least they pretended to get past it when Julie asked them about it. Number 6. So the next moment is more of a week than a single moment, but week 5 in the Big Brother 2 house was an explosive one. First thing was Nicole and Krista were talking game near Monica while she was sleeping. Monica woke up and was pissed that people were talking game 24/7.
talk about it all day, every day, with everybody. Talk about everything every day. Excuse me, Lord, it is Sunday, but I'm pissed off.
Then later, Kent was complaining because he was being targeted that people were treating Kent and Bunky wrong. This really offended Monica because she felt like she hadn't been treating Bunky differently at all.
Bunky, you got something to say? Ken, you got something to say to me? Do you have something to say? Don't laugh. What did you go tell him that we do to you, Bunky? Did we do anything to you?
He hasn't said a thing.
But why are you taking up for him?
I've seen it.
Why? You ain't seen shit and I say good morning to you?
This was probably the best fight of the season so far, but it honestly doesn't last for too long. Later in the same episode, there was a mandatory house meeting. Yeah, this was something that always happened once a week in this season, where people got to voice their concerns. So Kent and Will were on the block, and Kent was fighting for his life. He says he'll target Hardy, the current HOH who can't play next week. Hardy interjects for about a second, and Kent and Hardy both explode.
Now it's my turn to talk.
No, you don't talk to me unless I want to talk to you.
No, I'll talk to you right now.
Yeah, no, you won't.
What did you?
I don't have to listen to any of your shit. You lied.
Was it
You're
true?
a liar.
Did you ask
You're
me?
a liar.
Did you ask me out here if I wanted to be you and Bunky?
No, I did not. No, I did not.
You're a liar.
You're lying.
You're lying through your teeth, and you made me ask yourself.
And you didn't sit right there and ask me who I thought the three ought to be.
I'm not even going to go there, man.
Number 5. This one's a little more light than the last two. The house guests were complaining that the house is creepy or haunted or something, probably because there were people literally in the walls doing production type of things. Well, production decides to lean into it and give them a Ouija board. They asked the Ouija board their name, and the name said it was Jim. Will decides to hop in and talk about his cousin Jim, who worked on an oil rig, and there was an oil rig accident, and he passed away several years ago. Everyone was sad and a little freaked out.
I do have a cousin Jim, but he didn't die on an oil rig in Thailand. And are you familiar with the theory that the bigger the lie you tell, the more believable it is? So I kind of went with that idea.
Number 4. So here's the setting. The year is 2001. Eminem is killing it as a rapper. He releases the Slim Shady LP. He releases the Marshall Mathers LP. It's a great time to be a white person who thinks they can rap, because this guy's making it huge. Cut to Mike Boogie. He's coming in dressing like a wannabe Eminem.
Mike, I'm looking at your hair. I have to ask you about your hair. What's going on with that?
Mike really thinks he can rap and does it all the time. Now keep in mind, Mike was evicted 4th, so we only have so many episodes of him, but we still heard a lot of rapping from him.
Before the keys were pulled, I was feeling down, and Christabel turned my frown upside down. A lot of people thought they were gonna be here for a while, but I'm looking around this afternoon, I don't see too many smiles. She rocked 30 bathing suits that were oh so teeny. I'm really gonna miss this girl in her fly bikinis.
Stop rapping. You're trash. At rapping. You're garbage at rapping. You can't rap. You have no bars.
Number 3. So this next one is another not so much a single moment, but something to enjoy all season long, and that is Dr. Will's DRs. In modern Big Brother, it's hard to imagine a time where the DRs weren't scripted, and even if they were, at least it wasn't a template so you couldn't easily catch it if it was happening. Cue Dr. Will. They called him the evil doctor all season, and he wasn't afraid to show it.
Promised Hardy and Nicole that I wouldn't nominate them both. I clearly would nominate them both. I would stab them both in the back and leave them to bleed, on the kitchen floor, and I wouldn't even clean it up. And if I did, I'd use a dirty towel and leave it on the bathroom floor.
Help my father, pay off all his houses so he don't have to work anymore.
I'm gonna buy gold chains for my friends, jet skis.
I would finish renovating our home. I'd buy a tombstone for my mom's grave.
Jewelry, pork bellies, just good, solid investments.
Number 2. So every week in Big Brother 2, they had an America's Choice. You had to call in to vote, which really dates these episodes. This one week, they decided to give America the choice to give the house guest a pet, and they had the choice between a potbelly pig, a hamster, or a goldfish. So naturally, America chose the potbelly pig. Everyone got very attached to the pig, so when they had to say goodbye, it was pretty sad. Even me, the viewer, got attached, binging the show and only seeing the pig for a few hours. But the scariest thing was when the pig jumped in the pool. Thank God the house guests were around to save the pig. Number 1. This next one is very somber, and it's probably weird to go from the funny and wacky BB antics to this one, but I saved this one for last for a reason. As you may know, Big Brother 2 took place in the summer of 2001, and the show was still going on during September 11th. Monica had a cousin who worked at the World Trade Center, so production decided to tell the house guests the news.
Today, there was a terrorist attack at the World Trade Centers, okay?
Okay.
The World Trade Centers were hit by some hijacked commercial airliners. They don't know who did this. People were evacuated. People did get out. It's kind of chaos in New York City, but we have been in contact with your family and with everybody's family in the house.
Okay.
But I wanted to tell you separately just because we've talked to your sister. Your sister and your niece are fine, okay? But she wanted you to know this news, that this happened because you have a cousin who works at the World Trade Center, okay? Tamitha, all right? She did go to work this morning, okay? The situation is they're waiting to hear from Tamitha. It doesn't mean anything bad, okay, at this point. I just want you to know this.
Okay.
Today, there was a terrorist attack, okay? Everyone in your immediate families, we spoke to everyone and they were fine. Monica does have a cousin who works at the World Trade Center, Tamitha. But Monica, we promise that we will continue to call you in as we talk to your sister as she waits by the phone.
Now, I was only 7 years old when this happened, so at that age it was hard to understand the gravity of the situation, but I was born and raised in New York, so rewatching this segment hit home pretty hard, and it got me really choked up. I know a handful of people who lost friends or family members that day, so it's really tough to see someone living through that moment. I can't imagine what it was like to live through that moment, let alone being in the BB house. It's a little unclear how and when she found out because it didn't happen on an episode, but Monica's cousin Tabitha did pass away, unfortunately, and may she rest in peace. This is the biggest moment of Big Brother 2, and possibly of all time for Big Brother. For people who don't watch the show, if they've seen a single moment, it's probably this one because of how serious and unique of a situation that this was. So that was my top 10 Big Brother 2 moments. Do you have any moments that you think should have made the list? Was there anything crazy that happened on the live feeds that I missed? Go ahead and let me know down in the comments section below. And if you liked what you saw here, go ahead and subscribe because I'm binging all the seasons, and I'm going to make a video for every single BBUS season. Have a good one, guys. Peace.
Will, if you win the $500,000, what percentage of the money will you give to charities and what charities?
You know, Bunky, I don't want to mislead you. Percentage of money that's going to go to charities, I'm looking at none.